There we go. Had the mic muted there for a second. Hope everyone is doing well. Welcome back to another stream. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Of course, make sure you do hit the bell as well so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Make sure you do check out the Elevate Traders Discord channel, completely free to join. Link in the description and also at the top of the chat. You can find frequent updates there. You can find out information about Elevating Traders, join discussions, chat with myself, other traders there as well. So if you are interested, go check it out. Link in the description and also at the top of the chat. But guys, welcome to the stream. Amrit will take a look at gold. Do not worry. We'll first go through some USD pairs. Take a look at the DXY. Go through USD major currency pairs. We'll go through gold and silver. We'll go through some indices as well. If there are any particular pairs you do want me to take a look at, feel free to let me know in the chat. And of course, feel free to let me know any time frame specifically you want me to take a look at. But we'll start with the dollar and then progress through the USD pairs. Since we last spoke, we did see some bearish momentum, but didn't really amount to much, to be honest. We did see a bit of downside back into the low. Again, the bias for the dollar has been pretty bearish. Personally, I'm looking for a bigger pullback this week back into this area. I'm looking at the major lower highs prices printing once, twice. I'm looking for a third one for another correction and a continuation to the downside and a push back into the prior lows. So, for example, if we do pull back from here, that would, of course, naturally be the target for the trade or the swing I'm looking for. I'm not necessarily looking to trade the DXY, but that will be my my expectation for it. And of course, we do have some key support here, which I'm looking to see what price will do at, because if we do take up this low, it completely invalidates this bullish structure. And that would make me pretty bearish on the dollar longer term as well. At least kind of short, medium term point of view, I'm looking at some downside. Of course, first, I am wanting some retracement, but overall, I'm looking to follow this bearish leg here. Really nice drop here. I'm looking for the correction of that for the continuation. If I whip out the fib from the high to the low, you can see we do have some really nice confluence around the 0.5, 0.618 in that area. So that's really where I want to see price get to before I do take any opportunities. And it kind of lines up with my analysis and my bias on the euro, on the pound, and some other USD pairs as well. So Euro USD, again, still kind of trying to trend to the upside, but where we're trading back into major resistance. So I don't want to be buying the market now despite my bullish bias. I want the market to pull away from resistance before I do find any opportunities to go long. And that would be closer to this trend line coming back into a swing low. This is kind of really where I want to find that next higher low for euro. And then I can look for opportunities to take it back to the upside. Again, we've got some nice fib confluence there, probably into the 0.786 or at least into the 0.618. And that would be a healthy area to buy from, because at least I can get a safe stop loss. I'm closer to bullish territory and I'm way away from that resistance there. So if I can find some entries there, that'll be similar to the setup on the dollar, a pullback to that. Let me see the price of that. Pull back into kind of 108 area. If we get a pullback like that for the dollar, probably we'll see a similar pullback for euro back into this area. And this is where I can find some entries to take it back into resistance and potentially further if we can catch the breakout as well. I'm also looking to see if euro can come back into resistance up here, just above 1.06 as well. As I've spoken about with euro, overall the market is very, very flat, but it's a significant aspect because price has been really falling pretty hard for the past few weeks, but we have since recently slowed down that momentum and starting putting some equal lows in and some higher lows as well. So we're kind of getting this bowl-shaped price action here for euro. I do expect us to eventually push to the upside. So I do have that bullish bias, and in terms of catching the trade, I do want to see price pull away from that resistance. So I can look for some entries further down, closer to 1.035. So yeah, around 1.035 is what I'm looking for entry. So staying patient for that, but at the moment, nothing really to do since we're struggling to break resistance. Pound USD, similar setup as well. Looking for overall buys for this one. Really nice confluence with this trend line connecting the previous high lows. 1, 2, 3. Now looking for a fourth. As we spoke about yesterday, really nice level in the market. Price support a couple times over here. Once, twice. then taking that across, you can see was acting as resistance pretty well too, once and twice there as well. So I've got some nice confluence here, just around 1.25, nice psychological level as well. So it would be very nice to see price pull back into this area, look for our entry signals to then look for some buy opportunities to take price back to the high. And that's really what I'm looking at for pounds. Again, let's say if we pull back from here, that'll naturally be the target for the trade. I have spoke briefly about the high here as well, as that could be an extended target. I think keeping it relatively simple, back to the swing high makes a load of sense. So pound USD, another market which is starting to trend to the upside as well. We do have that bearish trend, but we've been having such a big correction. We've broken out of a long-standing bearish trend line as well. So we are seeing price kind of shift in direction. And of course, following my bias in the dollar as well, it makes sense to expect more upside for pound. Just need to wait and see if we can get that retracement, because yeah, right now we're nowhere near entries. But if we can get close to 1.25, look for entries in that area, and hopefully we swing it back into resistance. So that will be the plan there for pound USD. Dollar CAD, same situation as well. Of course, opposite direction. I'm looking for shorts for this one. This one's actually seeing some pretty nice retracement. Price has been pretty bullish. In terms of the direction, still very bearish on dollar CAD, so nothing's really changed. We're still trading in this area of consolidation. So I'm looking for price. I'm looking for evidence that we're about to turn around and to short the market. Potentially might be seeing a push back to the high here at 1.436. So I'm going to see what we can do. We are in touching distance of that level. So maybe this afternoon we might get there, start to see some rejection. And if I can get some wicks, a bearish engulfing candle, we'll be looking for entries to take price back into the low down here. As I said yesterday as well, I will also pay attention to the high here. Really powerful resistance just before we got the massive gap and then follow through to the downside. That also does look good to me, just around 1.45. So if this level doesn't hold, that would then be the area I'm looking to short from. But I'm only looking to short dollar CAD here after that really impressive gap and then push the downside, very aggressive follow through. I'm looking for the continuation of that. So only looking to short dollar CAD, still treating this bullish move as retracement to find shorts to take it back down again. And the areas which I'm looking to short from, 1.435. If that doesn't hold, then I'll look at 1.45 up here, and we'll see if we can get the short to the downside. But it's looking like a nice risk reward opportunity. Should we get some entries here? Could be looking at 1 to 3, 1 to 4, potentially back to the low. So it's definitely something I'm keeping a close eye on and could be setting up in the next 24 hours there potentially. So keeping a very close eye on dollar CAD. Aussie dollar, similar opportunity as well. I like the consolidation here as well. Really powerful break to the upside a couple of weeks ago or last week. It looks like price, again, within touching distance of that range. So looking to see what we can do there. Similar opportunity to dollar CAD. Just looking for the retest and the continuation. I do prefer dollar CAD a little bit more. It's coming from a bigger weekly level, and the price action is a lot more aggressive with the momentum. So in terms of ticking my boxes, USD CAD does a little bit better, but of course, still the same kind of situation. We're both trying to take advantage of weakness in the dollar. And if dollar CAD is going to fall 9 times out of 10, Aussie dollar is probably going to push to the upside as well. But yeah, I like this opportunity here too. Retest of that range, really healthy breakout. We haven't had a retest since the breakout. So this is a relatively fresh level for a bounce and a good probability for price to go and do so. And of course, in terms of targets, back to where we came from into that swing high. So Aussie dollar, pretty bullish bias as well. Coming off the back of a lovely double bottom down here. Price, of course, is broken through some structure. And of course, if I zoom out to the weekly chart, you can see where we're coming from. Really, really powerful level of support there. So at this moment in time, I'm expecting more upside for Aussie dollar. But first, I do need to see a little bit more retracement, and then we can find some buys there. So expecting push back to 0.64. In terms of New Zealand dollar, this one, again, similar situation to Aussie dollar. I was liking the buys on the hourly chart yesterday, but we haven't really gone anywhere. I was liking this bullish engulfing candle. The market has just been very, very sideways since then. We might come down slightly further to come and test this area here. We still do have this trend line confluence, which I'm looking at for price. And of course, price is also coming back to test this kind of consolidation before we had that continuation. So overall, in a nice area of support, resistance, supply, and we do have some nice trendline confluence there as well. So this has a lot going for it in terms of a high low forming and a push to the upside. Just like I'm expecting a high low for Aussie dollar, expecting to see similar price action here for New Zealand dollar. So potentially maybe this afternoon might see some wicks, and maybe come the New York session, might see some nice entries there to take it to the upside, back into the swing high, and then we'll go from there. But we're looking to essentially follow this bullish structure: low, high, low, high, low, high. Now looking for the new high low for, again, a push back to the high. So New Zealand dollar looking very good as well, expecting more upside. In terms of gold, we did see a bit of a move to the downside for this one. Likewise with silver as well, really aggressive sell. Hasn't really amounted to much, to be honest. One big candle dropping to the downside, but we haven't really seen follow through of that. Again, a key thing to look at, especially when the market's trending to the upside aggressively, is if we do have a big sell, what happens after? Is price just having a big sell just to push down, or are we seeing price correct and continue? If we are seeing that happen, then okay, it might be a sign that the trend is changing, or at least we're going to see a bit of a counter trend. If we just drop and then just do nothing, after that, it might just be one of those sharp corrections, and then we just slowly push back to the upside again, similar to what happened over here a couple of weeks back. Really strong move to the downside, didn't see any follow through, and we kind of just gradually pushed the upside there as well. So follow through is very, very important if we are going to change directions here for gold. As I said yesterday, if I'm going to look to take any shorts, I do want to see support breaking, and 2880 on the 4-hour chart is definitely a level which I do want to see taken out if I'm looking to anticipate more downside in gold. Now, gold is very overextended. It's been bullish for a while, so it definitely is due retracement, and I'm keeping an eye for those shorts. But again, way, way too aggressive right now. I know we had a nice sell kind of breaking out this consolidation. There might be some follow through in the lower time frames of that as we come back to retest some structure here. But again, still more of an aggressive trade, since we haven't really got any more follow through, and the market, in terms of the bigger picture, is still very bullish as well. So it's not a bad opportunity, just slightly more aggressive. Again, just because the trade idea is a bit more aggressive doesn't make it a bad trade. It's just a more aggressive trade. So you have to be understanding of that. If we're in a very bullish market and we're pro trend, it's not as aggressive. Of course, you can still take aggressive trades, but in general, you're following the bulk of the trend. If you're going against an aggressive trend, then of course, in terms of whatever trade you take, it's always going to have slightly less probability of playing out, just because you're against the flow of the market. And that's kind of what we got there with gold. So nice push to the downside. Daily candle closed pretty bearish there as well. Left a bit of a wick to the downside there. So again, illustrating that lack of follow through. But I do like the intraday sells. But again, like I said, a bit more aggressive trade. I'm still overall waiting for us to clear the range, as I spoke about yesterday. Resistance there, support there. I'm kind of waiting for us to clear the range to the upside or to the downside, and then I will have some clarity in terms of direction and setups for gold. So that's really what I'm looking for personally. Something like this and a retest to continue, or something like this and pull back and a retest to continue. So that's really what I'm waiting for in gold. Not so interested about the price action in the middle. In terms of silver, again, this one had a pretty aggressive sell as well. Now, silver's a little bit more awkward because we do have a pretty big level of resistance, which looks like price is really struggling to break through. I said yesterday that we're coming back to retest it, so I wanted to see a big rejection. Didn't see that happen yesterday. Price kind of broke the support level, and we're trading just below it slightly. So it's a bit of an awkward place right now. Is price breaking resistance, or is it struggling to break through? It's kind of a bit of 50-50 at the moment in time. So I would kind of stay put away from silver, because a good opportunity for silver would be if price was trading above this level comfortably. If we're trading above this level comfortably, then the odds of price getting back to the high there are pretty high, because that's the next target. If this is now support, where's the next big level? It would be the high there. So in terms of probability, price would have a good chance of making a push back to the high. If we're struggling to break the resistance, then of course we're in a 50-50 situation. Your price is either eventually going to break through, or it's going to struggle and turn around and come back down. And that's kind of the situation we're in right now. So overall, from a high time frame perspective, drops the weekly chart, overall it's a clear uptrend. We're seeing successive higher lows consistently. So I know generally what I'm looking to do with silver, follow that trend, take it back to resistance, and so on and so forth. So I know what I'm looking and expecting to do with silver. In terms of the setup to trade it, that's where things get a little bit more awkward and I have to be a bit more patient. So right now, yeah, we're kind of on the fence. So I'm waiting to see what we can do, whether we do go and get that breakout. There's a bit of a trend line here, which price looks like it's meeting pretty well. Are we going to eventually break through this? That would be great. And then the next pullback after that would be something that would interest me. Perhaps the retest of the high here, depends how he sets up, but something like that could look good. Or if price decides it wants to break to the downside like so, then of course I wouldn't be looking for any buys anymore. Or at least for that moment in time, that would be more of a bearish signal. So silver, like I said, very awkward right now. It looks like price is struggling to break through resistance. So if it's struggling to break resistance, that's not necessarily a good sign to buy the market. Again, it might be temporary. Maybe next couple of days we're trading well above it. Great. Then we'll start look to buy. And the swing high would be our next target. But right now, definitely no clear-cut trade, at least for the buys. So I'm staying away from long in silver just yet. And likewise with gold as well, staying away from looking to buy gold, just fading at the highs too, not giving us a lot of confidence with the longs just yet as we fail to break resistance. So overall, still very weak on the USD, still very bearish bias with the USD. Still bullish on gold and silver. However, we're seeing some red flags here. Gold struggling to break the high there at 29.40. That's definitely a red flag for the buyers. And silver coming back below that level there. Big red flag for the buyers as well. We might later go and break through them. But at the moment in time, buyers would be pretty aggressive. So yeah, that's where I'm at with the USD side of things. What's up, Karis? Good morning. Hope you're well. Welcome to the stream. Where was I? What's up, Lighton? Good to have you on the stream, my man. Hope you're doing good. Welcome. Yes, Amrit, we took a look at gold. What's up, Ahmed? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Paul, what is up? Hope you're doing good. CTFJPY, okay, we'll have a look. Seems to be slow all week. We did have a bit of a move to the downside yesterday. Nothing crazy, but I think it was looking a little bit bearish at some of the end pairs. But yeah, we'll go through CTFJPY and have a look-see. So I think the yen pairs had a little bit of a sell-off yesterday. I think some of them left behind some weight. Okay, CTFJPY didn't sell off. I think it was another yen pair I was thinking about. But yeah, you are right. Price is looking pretty dry right now. It's very slow. I think it's a situation where we've got a big level of support just below us, and price is needing a bit of a kick to get the ball rolling. Because we've had a few attempts now to break support, once, twice, and a third time as well. We had a really strong move there last Friday, but even that big candle didn't result in a break. So I think CTFJY is looking for a catalyst, perhaps maybe a news event potentially, to get us to break through that level. We need something to give us the kick. And that's probably why we're just kind of moving sideways. The market is being very consistent with this bearish pressure, consistent lower highs since pretty much December last year, been very consistent, lower high after lower high. So there's a clear bearish trend right now with the market. If this trend wants to continue, there's one thing price needs to do: break support, and then that will give us the green flag, the green light to continue. So we need to break support, and you're absolutely right. Price is just very sideways, and it just looks like it's waiting for something to break support. So in terms of an opportunity, in terms of a good opportunity, I would wait for that support break to happen and then look for the follow through afterwards. Because for CTFJPY, I expect a lot of downside in the near future. I know there's some major support below us right here to watch out for. I do expect to see a really nice bearish trend form. We've got a big head and shoulder pattern here, which to me looks like it's symbolizing the top of this trend. So I do expect to see a bit of a bearish trend form. So longer term, there's a lot of room to the downside. So taking some shorts on CTRJPY in the near future probably won't be a problem in terms of nice opportunities, nice pullbacks. But right now, I would stay away to be honest. And I know you're looking to sell the market as well. So unless you're very, very intraday and you're looking to take advantage of perhaps another drop back into support, that could be a nice opportunity, perhaps maybe on like the 15-minute chart, another push back into the high and looking to try and catch some shorts, from this kind of area. That could look good on the 15-minute, back into support down here. So that could be a nice opportunity to look at intraday. But if you're looking for a bit more of a swing, yeah, we need that support to break. No point trying to short directly into that level because for all we know, we could very much bounce at that level. Despite our bearish bias, we could essentially be wrong in that bias. Maybe price wants to push up, we're not to know that. And we very well could respect support and break to the upside. So we got to be, we got to be respective of that. So yeah, CTRJPY still do have a bearish bias. I would be looking for the break of support there. For some shorts. Like I said, there might be some smaller intraday opportunities there, shorting it back into support, but I wouldn't, I probably wouldn't go above the 15 for entries. Ahmed, okay, we'll take a look at the DAX US 30 for you, no problem. What's been going over with the DAX? Haven't looked at it in a while. Okay, so we did get the follow through. So last time I looked at the DAX, I believe we were trading around here-ish. When was that? That was Monday. Okay. So yeah, on Monday we had, okay, that was Friday. So Friday, no, it was Monday. Monday we had a really strong push to the upside, and I remember we were trading around here, and I said that this move here does not look like a retracement. We had a really nice sell from the week prior, really nice bearish move, correction, bearish move, very shallow correction of the bearish move. This is clearly a different characteristic of the market. It's not moving like a pullback. It's a very impulsive move. And given the fact that if I go to the higher time frames, what's the context of the market? Extremely, extremely bullish right now. So seeing an impulsive candle like that in a very, very bullish market, very bullish climate means, okay, there's a good chance the trend's going to continue, or at least I shouldn't be looking to sell because number one, it's not moving like a pullback would do, which is normally slow and corrective. It's moving with aggression. And given the fact that we're in a very bullish trend, means there's a good chance price is going to continue to the upside. So I said, if price can clear this resistance here, we can be looking for some break and retest, for some buys. It looks like it did take its time to do that. We respected the area a couple times, respected support a couple times here, but finally, at least from this morning anyway, price is breaking to the upside. So now that we've got the break, I would very much be looking for the retest of that area for some buys now, and looking to try and capitalize on a retest of that area. I'd probably focus more so on the retest of this wick here and try and catch some entries back to the high. Because the way I see it right now is that we're seeing a lot of momentum, bullish momentum in the market right now. And given the fact that the overall market is still very, very bullish, the odds of us getting back to the swing high there are pretty high. So if you can find some buy opportunities, there's a good chance we can ride it back to 22,900 and possibly beyond that as well. So yeah, the DAX to me is looking very, very bullish. It looks like we've just had another correction, very, very bullish on the daily chart. And now that we're breaking through highs there, it only makes sense really to be looking to long this one. So yeah, DAX looking extremely bullish. I'll look for the breaking test of 22,500, and targets back to 22,900 would make a load of sense, and probably even further than that as well, given how bullish the market is. If we go take a look at US 30, which is another major indice, however, not having as much fun right now as the DAX. DAX is trending to the upside very, very well, whereas US 30 is actually breaking structure to the downside. So yesterday I mentioned some shorts for US 30. I said it would be nice to retest some of this structure for some sells. We did see some downside, but of course not to get the retest of those areas. I think this was off the back of some news, but wicks the upside, wicks the downside. So overall, very, very messy price action. It's made things a little bit more awkward since we've really found support here very, very well. We've tested it 3 times now. once, twice, third time, and a fourth time. So price has tried to clearly break support there, but completely failed. So I do like the shorts still. However, I wouldn't be as aggressive in terms of how far we look and take them down. It could be a situation where we might be forming a higher low to try and push back up again. So in terms of shorts, I'd probably be more focused on this area now, just so I can get a greater pullback for US 30 and try and catch some shorts there. In terms of targets, I would keep it very relatively simple, back into the prior low here. But if you want to keep it even safer than that, you've got the high here, which of course price is respecting at the moment. But this is still a nice place for a sell. You can see we had a lot of momentum, correction, a lot of momentum there as well. So there's definitely a lot of bearish pressure from this area. And we could get a continuation. But the fact that we found support here on 4 separate occasions does tell me that this is really meaningful support. And again, given the fact that US 30 on the higher time frames is still a bullish trend. I know we fell at the highs there, but we haven't taken out any major structure yet. So this is still very much a bullish trend to me. We've got to be respective of that. Yes, nice sell opportunities, but the market could just continue bullish at any point in time. So I like the sales still around 43,900, but being a bit more conservative with targets now. I wouldn't try and stretch the trade any further than that low. Price has already proven to us that it's definitely a solid level of support. Yes, we could go far further, but we need to take information from what the price is giving us, and we are definitely failing very, very well at support there. So US 30, I would keep an eye around 44K for some shorts, and targets 43,300 look good, but I'd also keep an eye on 43,700 as well. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the DAX. Okay, Olu, what's up? USD, USD CHF, USD CAD aren't moving in the same direction. Do you have more insight into why this might be happening? Good question. What's up, Antonio? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Well, of course, they're all USD pairs, so you would expect them to be moving in the same direction. And majority of the time, that is the case. They will be moving in the same direction, but not all the time. Correlation is not 100%. Correlation comes and goes. So when you do understand correlation, that can be a really nice confluence for a trade idea. For example, if you're looking to buy euro and also pound USD looks like a buy, that's a great time. That's a great situation to be in, because they're very correlated pairs, and if one goes up, most likely the other will go up as well. But there will be times where euro and pounds are a little bit out of sync, and euro USD might look quite bullish and pound might be moving sideways or slightly bearish. And that's kind of the situation we've got going on right now with dollar CAD and dollar yen and dollar CHF. Right now with dollar CAD, the market is pretty bullish right now. We're flying to the upside. So clearly, either USD is very, very strong or CAD is pretty weak. And looking at USD JPY, we can see that price isn't really doing that. Had some slight downside pretty much. So again, in this situation, USD is not really seeing much strength, and looks like yen is the stronger currency. So which is it? Is USD weak? Is USD strong? Is yen strong? What you can understand is that if you look at the DXY, that will give you the overview of what the dollar is doing. Pretty much the dollar is relatively weak against most currencies. So it tells you right now that if dollar CAD is flying to the upside, it means that CAD is very, very weak right now. And you can go and check that fact to see if it's true against other CAD pairs. So if you go take a look at pound CAD, that one's pushing to the upside pretty aggressively. You go take a look at Euro CAD. That one's pushing to the upside aggressively. Have a look at Aussie CAD. Not so much, but we are pushing to the upside a bit there. And I think New Zealand CAD is pushing to the upside a little bit as well. Yeah, not so much, but pushing. So clearly CAD's very, very weak. So the reason why dollar CAD is flying is because not necessarily dollar is strong. CAD is just exceptionally weak right now. So all CAD pairs are on the up. And in regarding dollar CHF currency has been pretty strong. So if you go look at other CHF pairs, Euro CHF, that one's been falling, not very well, but has had a bit of a dip. CAD CHF. This is a nice comparison because you can compare CAD and CHF. Of course, CAD has been exceptionally weak. CHF's been strong. Hence, we've got to move to the downside. Aussie CHF, which is actually a pair I'm trading right now, that one's been pushed to the downside as well. So CHF is pretty strong. New Zealand CHF, that one's been moving to the downside as well. So by looking at other currency pairs, you can see that, okay, CAD's pretty weak, which is why USD-CAD's up. CHF's pretty strong, which is why USD-CHF is down, and yen's pretty strong, which is why USD-JPY is down. So like I said, correlation isn't 100%. It's not always going to be there 100%. It will come and go. There'll be weeks where correlation is on point and everything's 100% in sync. There'll be times where things are out of sync, and that's due to fundamental events and situation around the world, and just buying and selling pressure as well. So to answer your question, it's just things are a little bit out of sync right now, and you've got CAD weakness and CHF strength. But a good thing to note is if you're looking at the dollar, look at the DXY, because that will encompass everything for you. So hopefully that made sense. Paul, what do you think of buying NAS on the 15? Okay, I'll go take a look at that one for you. What's up, Holy One? I hope you're well. Not always focus. Yep, not always focus on the base currency only. And the quote currency also to understand that the pair are moving in a certain direction. Yep, yeah, very, very true. Again, USD most of the time will do all the heavy lifting in terms of, okay, if USD is strong, it's normally stronger than other currencies, most other currencies. And if USD is weak, it's normally weaker than all the other currencies, really. If you look at the USD majors, they're mostly, 89% of the time moving in the same direction. If you go to like the daily, weekly chart, look at Euro, look at Pound, look at Aussie, look at New Zealand dollar, of course, dollar CAD, but in the opposite direction. 80% of their price action is in the same direction. But of course, there'll be times where CAD is very, very strong for whatever reason. So dollar CAD's going to be doing something different. CHF might be strong for whatever reason. Euro, Aussie, New Zealand, whatever reason, they might be very strong or weak, which of course will give you a bit of contrast. It's not always going to be 100% accurate, because if that's the case, then every single move would just be the same on every pair. Always got to look at what we're partner up against. That as a good point, Holy One. Okay, Paul, I'll go take a look at that US 100 opportunity you mentioned. Good afternoon, Abdul. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Lighton, no problem, man. Your analysis has become a very good part. So, okay, nice. Good to hear, man. Good to hear. Yeah, a few people do that as well. But I'm glad if you're finding it helpful, finding it useful. That's what the streams are there for. So I do really like to hear that, my man. And if you guys are enjoying the stream, please be sure to drop a like as well. It does really help out the stream. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And of course, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. But let's take a look at that NAS 100 opportunity. And I will go through some of the yen pairs, or the rest of the yen pairs, and see what's happening in that arena. So NAS 100 on the 50-minute chart. Paul, you said you're looking to buy or sell. Looking to buy on the 15 to 21.395. Okay. Oh, buy towards the area. 221.395. Okay. Whereabouts is that? 29.395 is around there. Not dead on, but more or less around there. So you're looking to take a buy into that level. Okay. I mean, the fact that we had a really big sell and the market hasn't really seen much continuation of that does lead me to believe that we probably are going to go and fill that space to the upside. This is, of course, a big area to watch out for, because this is where all the momentum came from. So as we get to around 21,360, I'd be a little bit more cautious, which is just below your target for your trade idea. But judging how price is moving, it does look like price is going to drift back to the high there, especially because we had such a big drop and we didn't see much follow through, and price kind of stopped on a dime. So I would imagine upside will look pretty likely. It would be nice to see if we can get a slightly deeper correction before the buy, but in terms of direction, I would agree. It does look like price will get there, but as soon as we start to approach this kind of area of supply, I would be a bit careful because perhaps maybe the trend is going to continue. And that would be a place where sellers would be looking to jump into the market. So around 21,350, I'd be a bit cautious. I would be a bit cautious. But it's a very clear bearish trend. So taking buys are slightly more aggressive, but judging how prices formed here, it does look like we're probably going to get a push back into resistance anyway. So I do like the idea. But as we approach 21,350, I would be a bit cautious, which is just below your entry price there. Yeah, looking at that drop there, I do think we probably will see a bit of upside. Daily candle left behind a really nice wick as well. And I like the wicks down the 4-hour chart as well, which is always nice to see because not necessarily always nice to see, but especially if you've got a big drop in the lower time frames and on the higher time frames, it leaves behind a nice wick. It means that, okay, that momentum wasn't really there to begin with, or is not really holding its ground. You know, if you do see a big move and you get a solid candle close, especially in the higher time frame, that means, okay, we probably are going to continue falling. But the wicks in the 4-hour, the wicks in the daily kind of lead you to believe that, yeah, price struggled to push down, so most likely you're probably going to push up. So yeah, I like the idea. Okay, cool. Okay, Antonio, Aussie dollar. Okay, we'll go through Aussie dollar quickly, and then I'll go through some of the yen pairs. So Aussie dollar, again with this one, I'm looking at some buys. In terms of this one, we come into a really big level in the weekly chart. So I'm looking for a bounce from this area, which we've kind of seen one already, but I'm looking for a bit more of one. We've broken to the upside past this high, and I'm looking for the retest of this range. Lovely consolidation, strong break to the upside. I'm looking to see if we can come back and retest that, get the bounce, and take it back to where we came from. So nothing too much really. I'm looking at this as a lovely bearish trend. This is a potential bottom of the trend. It might not necessarily be a bottom in terms of, okay, now I'm expecting price to push to the moon. It might just be a bottom, a temporary one, where we trend to the upside for a little bit and then maybe continue back down again. So yeah, that could be a possibility. But for now, I like the upside, and I'm looking at buys around 0.63, so we can kind of just focus on the high there. So that would be my attention for the trade, to see if we can push it back into resistance and potentially further as well. But I think keeping it relatively simple, if you can get it back to the high, that's a nice trade. Call it a day there, or you can leave some positions to run. But Aussie dollar longs look good around 0.63. We're almost there, so maybe in the next 24 hours, could be looking at a trade idea there. Entries, maybe hourly chart or 4-hour. Hourly give you a better entry in terms of risk reward, but 4-hour might give you something a bit safer. There's no, again, right or wrong there, but I would, it's up to you to decide. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at for Aussie dollar. In terms of the yen pairs, so as I briefly mentioned, dollar yen looking a tad bearish, but not really done much since we last spoke. I'm looking to see if we can break structure on the left here, which we have just about wicked through, which is pretty significant, but I'd like to see some candle closures below. Regardless of that anyway, I am looking for more downside for dollar yen. I'm looking for a lower high to form and a really big push to the downside. In terms of where, we do have this lovely trend line at play here, connecting the highs. I'm looking to see if we can pull back into this area for a short to catch the next lower high and then a big sell, because I do see a pretty big sell for dollar yen all the way back to 140. So that's what I'm expecting price to go in the long term. Now my job is to try and catch lower highs on the way down and keep shorting the pair until proven otherwise. As long as we maintain these lower highs, I'm only going to be looking to short. I don't see any kind of good long opportunity just yet. Of course, something may form in the future, but as of right now, that's not the case. So dollar yen, this is what I'm looking at. Again, nowhere kind of near setting up just yet. But I like the fact that price is being a little bit more corrective now, which means it's running out of steam. It is, in fairness, coming back into a pretty big level of support. Ooh, don't know what happened there. It is coming back into a pretty big level of support. We did have a really big move to the upside here. So rightly so, kind of slowing down. So it does mean the probability of a retracement is pretty high now. So if you can get a pullback right into confluence, we'll be looking for shorts at least back into the prior low, but possibly a lot further as well. So dollar yen, very bearish on this one. In terms of pound yen and euro yen, these guys I'm still pretty bearish on, but again, just resting on support here. So it's a bit of an awkward place to be looking to do anything, at least on the 4-hour chart. So again, with pound yen, as I've been saying, still looking for a push back into the wick low here. That's still been the target, but in terms of taking a trade, it's been difficult. We had that aggressive retracement a couple of weeks back. Didn't really get a nice clean entry to take the trade. Then we slowly kind of been rolling over. If price is really going to get that move to the downside, I want us to pick up some momentum like we kind of did over here, like we did over here as well. I want us to pick up momentum. I don't want this kind of slow corrective fall, because it means that we're lacking strength, we're lacking momentum, and perhaps we bounce to the upside, which is something I'm not really interested in. If we are going to get that big sell, I need to see some evidence of price breaking the low well, and that could provide some nice opportunities for me for a short for the next leg, so on and so forth. Perhaps something that looks like this, maybe coming back to retest some structure there. It depends on the setup, but something like that hypothetically does look like a nice opportunity for myself. But again, the key thing is us picking up that momentum, because especially if you're looking for pullbacks and you're looking to short markets or buy, if you're looking to follow a trend, for example, the more momentum in the trend, the better, because the more momentum means that the trend is very strong. So if you do see a pullback, the odds of that being a pullback and not being a reversal is pretty high. Just on a slight side note, if you take a look at the DAX, for example, very, very bullish trend here. So the odds of a bearish move being a pullback is very, very high. And you taking buys in this market is just naturally, puts probability in your favor a lot better, because there's a lot of momentum. Pound yen right now, the current bearish leg is just lacking that momentum. So the confidence of the move is a lot less. The probability of us continuing is a lot less as well. So I want that momentum to pick up. Again, doesn't have to be anything crazy like the DAX, for example, but seeing movement like this, is something I want to see. So if you can get a strong move through the low, that would be great. And then I'll be looking for pullbacks. Euro yen, likewise as well. Again, on the daily chart, we do have a pretty big level of support. So I can understand why Euro yen's being a bit slow now, because it's a really big level of support, even though I expect it to break. It's a big support level. We're going to dance. We're going to move sideways. It might be waiting for a big news event to get the breakout, like an NFP, which is next Friday. We might move sideways till then, potentially. It's a pretty big level. It might need something as big as that to get the ball rolling. But should we break through some nice momentum, again, pullbacks afterwards could look really, really good, and I expect to see a lot of downside. Again, really nice head and shoulder pattern. I'm looking for this to be a bit of a top to this bullish trend here on the left. So if that's the case, I'm expecting a lot of downside in the near future as well. But in terms of shorting, again, I can't be shorting in support directly there. So it's either Euro yen decides it wants to pull away and then give me a short, something like this, or it decides to break through. Now look, try and catch the next bearish leg afterwards. Either which way, I don't want to be shorting directly into support there. CAD yen in a similar boat as well. Again, it goes to the daily chart. What do we have? Another big head and shoulder pattern. A lot of the yen pairs are giving us these kind of similar head and shoulder patterns, which, again, I think is quite interesting. I'm looking at that as potentially a bit of a top to this bullish trend. So I do expect to see a pretty nice bearish trend form in the next few weeks. So I do expect a lot of downside. And next major target would be the wick low here. But again, we are trading into support right now with CAD yen. So if I'm going to be looking to trade this one, I need price to break through and retest, or pull back away and then pull back. In fairness, CAD yen is actually looking a lot more attractive than some of the other yen pairs, purely because CAD has been very weak over the past 24 hours or 48 hours. Actually, a bit longer than that. It's been weak since kind of last week. So we've actually seen some nice bearish legs here. So you can see it's still a little bit corrective, but there's a bit more power. There's a bit more force behind that move. If you compare that to pound yen, compare that to euro yen, it's a little bit more impulsive. This move on pound yen, very corrective. This move on euro yen, a little bit better, but it's becoming quite corrective. Whereas CAD, not perfect, but seeing a bit more force there. So that gives me a lot more confidence looking to jump into CAD yen shorts rather than pound. But of course, things can change pretty quickly. And all of a sudden, maybe pound yen is looking very good. So again, definitely keeping an eye on all of them, really. But CAD yen looks pretty good. So again, looking for another pullback and then some more shorts, expecting us to eventually go and take out that wick low. CHF JPY we just spoke on, but as I said, looking for price to break support. In terms of getting a nice trade, I have to wait for us to go and do that before I can start to short, because despite the lower highs, we are coming back into support here on the left. So again, I don't want to be shorting directly into this. Again, need price to go clear that support out the way, and then hopefully the next pullback afterwards, I can find some nice trades for a pullback, retest, and some more shorts. In terms of Aussie yen, so this one did see some nice downside yesterday as well, just about breaking the lows. But again, just being a little bit slow. Long term, still looking for it for us to push back to low there at 90.144. But in terms of a trade, don't really have one just yet. If we can break the low there with a bit more force, then I'll be looking at a break and retest of that level. Something like this would look good. I was originally looking for a pullback into this trend line, but it looks like that ship has very much sailed. So I don't think I'll be getting that opportunity anytime soon, especially with us breaking the low as well. So this is probably the next best bet for myself. And again, in terms of targets, back at that low, or that will be the extended target. The original target for the trade will be wherever that low does form. If you do get a break, let's say if you form a low here, then start to pull back. And of course, that will be the target for the trade. And New Zealand yen, same situation as well. Again, very similar pair to Aussie yen. Looks like we're just about to clear support there, which is great. But I want to see a bit more downside there for New Zealand yen before getting excited. In terms of targets, looking for us to go and take out the wick low. So same situation. If I drop to the 4-hour chart, want us to break through this a little bit more aggressively, then we can start to speak about some pullbacks and continuations back into the low there. So overall, pretty bearish here for CAD yen, New Zealand yen, all the yen pairs. Let me go take a look at the yen basket as well whilst I'm at it. So yeah, yen basket, I've got a couple of ideas which I'm looking at as well. Again, either the break and retest of this level here, which looks like we're slowly getting to, or we get another big pullback for another higher low. We've got one over there, second there, third over there. Looking at a fourth potentially, that would be a nice setup for myself. If not, let's get the break, which looks like we're getting, but I need a more confident one. Then we can speak about some retests of these levels. And in terms of targets for the yen basket, looking for us to come back into resistance there at 7,200 and actually break the high as well. My target is the level, yes, but I do expect us to take out the wick high. So I do expect a lot more upside for the yen basket, which of course would mean yen strength, which would of course mean yen pairs do fall. So waiting for either or, we'll see what happens. But yeah, in terms of direction, still expecting yen strength. So in terms of my bias for the yen pairs, still very much looking to short them, just staying patient. But yeah, they're lacking a bit of momentum, as you can see with the yen basket as well, looking a little bit dry there as we take up the high. So I think keeping a close eye on the yen basket is going to be a very important thing to do, because if this picks up the pace, so will the yen pairs, and then hopefully some opportunities. If this stays dry, then I will be a bit careful about entering any trades on the yen pairs. Calm down. Yes, I will go through NAS 100 for you. No problem. Good morning, Alex. Hope you're doing good, my man. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. What's up, Antonio? Euro USD. Okay, we'll take a look at that one for you. Let me just go through the NAS for calm down there. Okay, so a few people have asked about the NAS, to be honest. Um, so let me know what time frame you're looking at, so I can be a bit more used to you on the 50-minute chart, or you're looking at the 4 hour. Let me know. I'm gonna look at the 4 hour in terms of what I'm looking at on this time frame because that's where I spend most of my time. But yeah, overall, the NAS is pretty much just sideways. Pretty much equal highs there, pretty much equal lows down here as well. Overall, on the 4 hour chart, it's just the market that is stuck between a rock and a hard place, not breaking the highs, not breaking the lows. We didn't quite make it to the support level down here. This is why I said yesterday would be nice for a long on the 4 hour chart. If NAS could get back to around 2,800, it would be a nice place to buy because, of course, we're right at the low of the support. There's a good chance for a bounce. Didn't quite get there before price having a bit of a reaction right now. Possibly we might eventually get there. So I'll still keep an eye on that level. It's still definitely a strong level of support. And because we are ranging, I would, of course, be a bit skeptical about getting involved in the middle of the range because that's where the most fluctuation will be. Of course, at the moment, there's still a lot of bearish momentum in the market right now. Um, and there could be some intraday opportunities in that regard. But on the 4 hour chart, I would only be focusing at the low or at the high because that's where I know I've got the maximum um, probability of catching a reaction. Of course, you could catch it anywhere, but it's either price is going to break out of the range or stay in the range. If we get to the low, you see some heavy rejection. Well, the chances that price is probably going to stay in the range and bounce, and vice versa with the high there as well. So I like these areas here for NAS. Just again, keeping it simple, trading a range, looking to buy low, sell high. If we break out, we break out. We'll then look at that opportunity depending which way it is. But for now, around 2,200 and 2,700 is my kind of area. Okay, hourly chart. Hourly chart. I mean, hourly chart, similar kind of idea to the 4 hour, to be honest. Hourly chart, I suppose maybe you might be looking at some of these swings here, but I probably would drop even lower than the hourly to trade this well. Hourly chart might not give you the best entries. So yeah, in terms of the hourly, I'll probably still look at entries here. You can see some really nice rejections here on the hour chart. That's kind of where I'll be looking to focus entries and stop losses below. Likewise, the upside there as well. So yeah, hourly chart, I'll keep it to the same as the 4 hour. The 4 hour and the hour is not too different. One 4 hour candle, 4 hour is 4 1 hour candles. So it's kind of just like a 4 hour chart, slightly more zoomed in. So most setups in the 4 hour look pretty good in the hour and vice versa. It's just the hourly chart will give you a better entry in terms of the risk to reward because you enter a little bit sooner. But it's the same setup really. So yeah, that's kind of what I would be looking at for the NAS. No problem. Okay, Alex, we'll take a look at gold US30 NAS for you. Antonio, we'll go through Euro USD now for you. Okay, so Euro USD, as I mentioned previously, I'm pretty bullish on Euro. Again, I like the kind of bowl-shaped price action we're getting with this one. We've gone from a pretty strong bearish trend, which we had at the back of last year. All of that momentum's kind of fizzled out, and now we're slowly curving to the upside. So I do expect us to pick up the pace as the days progress and eventually break to the upside. But for now, right now, we're respecting resistance. There's some resistance we created a few weeks ago. We've tested it once, twice, and the third time, and we're really struggling to break through. We might kind of squeeze and potentially break out, but I'm not necessarily interested in that. I want price to pull away from this so I can find some buys a lot deeper down to then buy it back up because I don't want to be buying directly into resistance. That's just rule number one. And I only want to be buying closer to bullish territory, which is down here where we've got the higher lows adding up once, twice, and hopefully a third time. We do have some nice fib confluence down here, the 0.618, and a nice areas of demand as well. We had that strong push to the upside. So I will be looking at a bigger pullback there for Euro. The expectation is for price to eventually break this resistance and push back into 1.06, which is the high there. I suppose on the lower time frames, if you're looking for some shorter term trades, if we don't get that bigger pullback, which I mentioned, I would keep a close eye on the break of this resistance because if that resistance does break, there's a good chance that we'll probably just get some minor corrections and just a follow through back to 1.06, which is the high there. So you probably won't get this big move anymore if we, of course, we do break resistance. You're probably looking at a break and retest, probably on like the 30-minute chart, 15-minute chart. Refine your entry there, then take it back into the high there as well. So I would say keep an eye on something like that, just in case we do get the break and we don't get the bigger pullback. This is the opportunity that looks good, more on the 4-hour chart, more of a swing trade, more of like a nice intra-week, intraday trade. That's something you could be keeping your eyes on. So yeah, but overall bullish for euro. Bullish for euro. Whether we break the level now or pull away first, I'm only looking to buy. And also one key thing to point out for euro as well is where we're trading in the higher time frames, particularly the weekly chart. Really big support over here on the left. Looks like price is holding on to that as well. So that's another reason why we could see a lot of upside. Last time we were there, humongous move to the upside. Might see another reaction. So yeah, pretty bullish in euro. Let's see if we can get some more upside. Okay, so I'll go through gold US30 and NAS. Hey, good morning, Dark Sean. Hope you're doing good. How are things looking? A little bit dry, to be honest. Not really seeing much movement. I'm currently still trading Aussie CHF. Did see some nice downside yesterday, to be honest, but a bit flat since then. I'll go through that trade in a second. But besides from that, USD pairs, not much movement. I mean, dollar CAD, yes, a little movement there, but that's more to do with CAD weakness. Yen pairs pretty flat, to be honest. Maybe a bit of a movement yesterday, but hasn't really amounted to much. So yeah, a little bit dry. But hope you're doing good, Dark Sean. Hope you're feeling a bit better. Hope you got some nice rest yesterday. Yusuf, good morning, afternoon. Hope you're doing good. Welcome. Okay, let me go through gold, US30, and NAS. Okay, so gold, we had a bit of a reaction yesterday. Really strong move to the downside with that 4-hour bearish candle. Hasn't really amounted to much, so I'm not really excited or starting to plot some major trade ideas really with gold. As I said last week, the key thing I want to see before I do start to look to short gold is a break of key support, which is this level here, 28.80. If we can break through the lows there, that's a bit of an indication that, okay, maybe the trend has met a top here and we could be seeing a bit of a downtrend form. There's still a major high here, which we could be coming back to retest. So I'm still going to keep a close eye on that, just above 27.80. And that could be where price may be attracted towards. So I like the shorts for gold, but we're not there yet. I did point out there could be some shorter term opportunities here, perhaps in the retest of this area, really powerful support. On the left, you can see a bunch of wicks in this area. That'll be turn resistance. So I like that area for a short, but it's a bit more of an aggressive trade. Yes, you're looking for the continuation of that drop. But again, in terms of the context of the market, if we go to the daily chart, overall, it is still pretty much a bullish market, a bullish trend. So again, it's a slightly more aggressive trade because it's counter trend, but doesn't make it a bad trade. It just means it's a bit more aggressive, which is nothing necessarily wrong with that as long as you're aware of that situation. But on an intraday level, I think if we can get another pullback there, look for some rejections of that area around 29.23. I think that's a nice place to short gold back into the lows. I wouldn't look to take it further than that. If you're looking to buy gold, then I'm still looking to see if we can break to the upside, to be honest, take up the highs, find some pullbacks on a retest. 3K, again, is not too far away from us. That still would be a nice level to target. So I'm still looking to take gold back into 3K, whether we pull back first or break out. That's still the target for gold. But again, in terms of buys, wait for us to clear resistance and then pull back. Right now, gold is just consolidating, so I wouldn't be looking to do anything personally, at least on the time frames I trade. I'm sure if you drop lower, there might be some smaller trade ideas like the one we just mentioned there. And if I'm looking to short gold, then I want to see something like this happen before I do get involved. But that's where I'm at with gold. In terms of US30, so again, with this one, I do like the sells. However, we have respected support pretty well since we last spoke. Price has had 1, 2, 3, 4 rejections of this support level here. So it does look like potentially price might be forming a bit of a bottom. So I would be a bit careful of that. If this is a bit of a bottom, then again, perhaps maybe you see a lot more upside here. Despite the fact that price respected the high, overall to me, US 30 is very much in a bullish trend. So I've got to be extra careful when I'm shorting because I know that I'm up against it. This is still a really nice area for a short, so I'll still be looking at sells here at 44K pretty much. So I think that is still a great place to short from. Of course, you have to wait for price to get there, reject it, and find some entries. So a lot needs to happen, but that's still a nice place for a short. In terms of targets, you can keep it relatively safe with a target back at the high here, or we can be a little bit more adventurous and target here, but I wouldn't look any further than that because number one, price has already proved to us this is a very steady level. Yes, we might break through. Again, what's the situation of the trade? We're in a bullish market and we're shorting. So it's not a situation where you want to be a bit more aggressive and shoot for the moon here. If this was in a long-term bearish trend, then yeah, of course, you could try and stretch trade a bit further, but not in this case. So yeah, that's going to run out with US 30 and NAS 100 again with this one because we're just in a big range. As I said earlier, looking to buy low and sell high makes the most sense. We've got 2,800 here, really nice level of support. I would wait for us to get there. Entries on the 4-hour chart or the hourly chart will look good. Likewise, to the upside, if you're looking to short, back at the high makes the most sense, 22,100. This here is the middle of the chart, so that's where the most fluctuation will be. I'll try and stay away from the middle and focus most of my efforts right at the low, where I can get some relatively nice stop loss placements and maximize my risk to reward. If I can catch a buy here for stop loss here and targets back there, you're looking at a 1 to 5, 1 to 6, 1 to 7 there, if that does play out. So you immediately got a really nice trade. And of course, you don't necessarily have to look for the full swing. You can look halfway, wherever makes sense to you. But the idea is there, the risk reward is there. So yeah, for NAS 100 in particular, it's just a very sideways market. Of course, overall trending well to the upside, but in the past few weeks, sideways. So I'd focus low or focus high in terms of entries. Keeping it relatively simple. Anthony, good morning. Hope you're well. Yes, I will go over the S&P for you. No problem. Dark Sean, feeling better. Okay, good. No more fever, so it's a good sign. Okay, that's good, my man. Full pain mode, though. That's not good. Waiting for pain meds to kick in. Oh, that's always great. That's always great, waiting for the meds to kick in. Yeah, I bet the anticipation is exciting. But yeah, I hope you get better soon, my man. Again, I think it's still very much rest mode for you, especially with the pain meds as well. Hope the pain's not too bad. Alex, no problem. Happy to help, man. Happy to help. Okay, so I'll go through S&P now. Okay, so S&P. Oh, okay, nice rejection there. I haven't looked at S&P since the last stream yesterday. So a really nice wick rejection, I have to admit. And to be honest, this is actually a nice place for a long. It's a really healthy rejection back at major support. We did break through this area here, but since we respected this area very well, the fact that we are still kind of providing these slow steps to the upside, does make me expect something like this to happen in the next few days and a push back to the high. Because again, we haven't taken any major structure. We haven't broken for any major structure, despite the big bearish moves we've seen on the US indices. There's no major low that's been taken out, not for S&P, not for NAS, not for US 30. Yes, some minor lows have been taken out, which is why I've been talking about some shorts on the smaller time frames. But on the larger time frames, everything is still pretty much up. And by larger, I mean 4 hour and above. Everything is still very much up. And the fact that we still providing these steps here on the way up, I'll be expecting another push back to the high there. It's kind of like the price is forming mini ranges. So you got a range there-ish, another one here-ish, another one here-ish, and I'll be looking to take it back to the high. So yeah, S&P, I'd be pretty bullish for this one as well. I like how the price action rejected this level in particular, really aggressive wick. and now we're seeing some momentum in the opposite direction. So I'll be looking at this level holding and a push back to the high there, which is 61,385, which is pretty much the all-time high. So yeah, S&P pretty bullish on this one. As long as we can hold this support level at 59.28, that would keep me bullish bias, and I'll be looking at coming right back to the upside. And of course, stops below the low there. If we start breaking through that, again, that's not necessarily a major break of structure. I would be looking at this low as the major low to break. If you break through that, then yeah, I would be looking at this happening. I would say, okay, we're in a bearish climate now, looking for shorts. If you break through that low, I wouldn't be surprised if we come back to this low and then bounce and see a bigger push. But if that breaks, yeah, I would be looking at a bearish market for S&P. And we'll probably see that for the other indices as well. But for now, yeah, still pretty bullish here. And 59.20, yeah, stops below there, expecting a push back to highs. Okay, so yeah, that's where I'm at with S&P. We'll probably go through some other crosses now, take a look at some C-chair pairs. I'll have a look at Bitcoin as well, because I'm pretty sure Bitcoin had a pretty bearish close yesterday, but below support. So it's not looking good for the cryptocurrencies right now. Dark Sean, yes, could be 2 weeks. Oh, okay. Oh, 2 weeks. Damn. Band-aids and then happy hour for me. Well, I like the positive outlook, Dark Sean. I like the positive outlook, especially when it happens so quickly as well, because you're going for a checkup and then suddenly, boom, emergency surgery. So that's a big kind of change in events as well. All of a sudden, you've got 2 weeks to recover. So I like the positive outlook. I think as a trader, you've got to keep that positive outlook. So transfer that into your health. That's good. But yeah, get better soon, my man. Anthony, okay, good to hear. Good to hear. We'll see what happens. No problem. Happy to help. Tete Lestai, welcome to the stream. What's your take on Pound NZD? Okay, I will go through that one as well. Actually, I'll go through that one first before I go through Bitcoin. Okay, so Pound NZD looking very, very bullish. We are coming back into some resistance right now. So us looking bullish is not necessarily the biggest thing. The most important thing, because we could very much turn around here and look very bearish in a short space of time. But should we break through the high here, then I would be expecting us to push back to 2.238, which is the price run high. Because if we zoom out, look at the bigger picture for Pound NZD, very, very consistent with the high lows. You know, I think this is like 6, 7, or 8 consecutive high lows here altogether. So the chances of us pushing back to the high there, if we break the resistance, are extremely high, because you're just going to see naturally the continuation of the trend. The odds of us breaking the high here, then suddenly putting a lower high in and dropping, are relatively slim. Of course, nothing is 100% not going to happen. Of course, as a trader, we always have to be prepared for anything, which is why we don't risk our accounts for every trade, and why we have stop losses in place. But the odds of us getting back to the high there are pretty high if this resistance does break. So especially on some breakouts, opportunities, retest as well, that would look like a really nice trade back to 2.238. And yeah, I'll probably just call it a day there. No need to try and take it past that. This is a major swing high on the higher time frames as well. And if you can get nice 1 to 2, 1 to 3 there, that's a great trade in itself. I don't see why to try and jeopardize that and holding further. But yeah, at the moment, Pound NZD is pretty much still stuck in consolidation. So it's just a choppy market right now. But it looks like we're finally going to kind of break out this wedge pattern here. And we're committing to the upside. So if you can keep that up, break to the upside, this, of course, will become a really nice level to buy from, prior resistance and support. And that would be a great place to look for entries, place a stop loss underneath, and see if you can target back at the high. But yeah, that's what I'd be looking for, because now it looks like price has gained momentum and is picking a direction. So if that is the case, let's break resistance and then onwards and upwards for Pound NZD back to 2.248. So yeah, that's where I'll be with pound NZD. I'll go through some of the I'll go through Bitcoin, and then I'll go probably take a look at Ethereum as well. Then I'll go for some of the crosses as well. Yusuf resume a trade yesterday, and because set them up inside my zones. Please, do you always set yours behind your zone? Yeah, I give myself respective room for the trade. I don't really have a magic rule for stop losses, but I always put it a few pips below my entry candle. And sometimes I will give it a bit more room, depending on the scenario. And that comes with experience. You can see if maybe your stop loss needs to be a bit bigger on some trades, maybe it's a bit more volatile, or there's a lot of wicks going along. If that's the case, then it makes more sense to give yourself a bit more room. But I normally put my stop loss just a few bits below my entry candle, which is normally below the zone of where I'm trading. Some zones are quite big, so I wouldn't put my stop loss behind that zone because I trust my entry candle to give me that reaction. If it isn't a good entry candle, I wouldn't take the trade. I trust that the candle I'm entering on is giving me a strong signal that the market's about to turn. And if that's the case, I can put my stop loss a few bits below just in case for a bit of wiggle room. And then I'm expecting follow through. But most of my stop losses are below my zones. But sometimes zones are pretty big, and it doesn't really make sense for me to have my stop loss below them. Like for example, my Aussie CHF trade, which I've got going on right now, my entry is just a few pips above the high there. So keeping it relatively simple. And again, actually, it kept me in the trade pretty well, actually, because if I draw the wick here and I take it across, you can see if my stop loss was really, really tight, I would have actually been wicked out over here. But I was about just a couple pips away from my stop loss because I gave myself a bit of wiggle room. And especially with a pair like Aussie CHF, I know that I should always give myself a bit of wiggle room because CHF pair normally wicks around a lot more than some of the other currency pairs I trade. So I always want to give myself a bit more room for a pair like this because I know it wicks around a bit more. But again, nothing crazy. My entry candle was this candle here. Stop loss just a few pips above the high. Nothing crazy. And of course, in this scenario, it kept me in the trade. Maybe in an alternate universe, maybe the wick would have been a bit bigger and would have taken me out of the trade. If that was the case, I would look to re-enter anyway. But in this situation, it kept me in the position. So yeah, always trust your entry always trust your entry candle to give you the reaction. Not that it will every time, of course not, but if it is a entry candle which is kind of like, it looks okay, then it's probably not a good candle to take. If it looks okay, this is a really good signal. It looks like price is probably going to push my direction. That's something you want to take. And of course, experience will teach you that as well. But yeah, give yourself a bit of room. If you can be above the zone, great. It doesn't have to always be, because there'll be some situations where the zone will be like up there and it just doesn't make too much sense. If that's the case, you want price to push deep into the zone anyway, so you can get a more refined entry with your stop loss. So yeah, if have a look at your entries as well. But if you're in a situation where price is moving deeper into your zones and then pushing up, then maybe you need to look to enter a little bit later. So have a look at that as well. But we'll go through Bitcoin because I'm pretty sure we had a pretty bearish candle yesterday. Yes, we did, and it has technically broken through some support. So, okay, Bitcoin here. The next 24 hours is going to be interesting because this is a breakout. It's not the biggest candle. It's not the most aggressive breakout you see in the world. It's definitely closing below the level, which is essentially what a breakout is. It did leave behind a pretty big wick to the downside, so maybe it's a sign that, okay, we're not really seeing that much follow through. For example, if today's candle closes right back above, then we've just got a big fake out, and I'll be looking at something like this the following days. If this candle can push the downside as well, yeah, that's game over really for that level. I'll be expecting a lot more downside, and 74K would be my next destination or expectation for Bitcoin there. So pullbacks, lower highs, you name it, we're looking at more of that all the way back down here. And possibly we can push right back up again. And that's kind of what I expect to happen anyway. So just because we're breaking out doesn't mean, okay, everyone run for the hills. It might just be Bitcoin just wants to do a slightly bigger correction, which makes sense because we made some new all-time highs. So a correction is kind of expected anyway. But yeah, at the moment, comfortably below support. Let's see if we can remain below. We don't push up tomorrow or today or whatever. And yeah, I'll be looking at 73, 74K, and I'll be expecting a pretty big pullback for Bitcoin. Ethereum was pretty bearish yesterday as well. Pushed the downside. I mean, actually, no, it was not that bearish. It left behind a wick. It was bearish a couple days ago. Yesterday, left behind a pretty big wick. But again, with Ethereum's case, we haven't really broken through any major support yet. So Ethereum was looking pretty bearish, but it doesn't really mean much to me because this is really the support level which my focus is nailed towards. So if this breaks, then yeah, that's pretty significant. But a strong candle like this, okay, looks pretty scary on its own, but in context, looks like we're kind of just filling that wick there to the downside. So we'll see what we do here. If we start bouncing, then yeah, I think the buys are very much on. If we break through, sound the alarms for Ethereum. Still do have this kind of trend here, which I'm looking at. So I do really want to see price respect this area. If it breaks through, that's not a good sign for Ethereum. But we'll see. We'll see. If it breaks through, I'll be expecting a lot more downside. But for now, we're not even there yet. So we'll have to wait for us to get there. But Bitcoin, though, yeah, not looking too good. We'll see if that does remain below the next couple of days. And if it does, 73K is my target. No problem, Yusuf. Happy to help. Okay, so I'll go through some of the other crosses. Okay, see you tomorrow, Dog Sean. Power nap, here I come. Have a good one, man. Take care. Get some rest. Okay, so we'll go through the other crosses. So we went through the wrong place. There we go. We went through pound NZD, and then we also no, we didn't. I thought we went through USD. We didn't. We went for pound NZD. So pound Aussie situation, of course, would be similar to pound NZD. They're very alike in terms of what they do. Again, you can see here on the daily chart, very consistent higher lows. It looks like price may be doing that again at the moment. If, of course, we flick over to pound NZD, we've got pretty much the same thing there as well. Very consistent higher lows. It looks like price is about to break to the upside. So judging pound Aussie, if pound NZD is going to make a push back to that high, pound Aussie 9 times out of 10 is going to do the same thing as well. Dropping to the 4-hour chart, I do prefer pound NZD a lot more, just because with pound Aussie, we kind of got this trend line, which is running through price a little bit. And in terms of a breakout, we could break through the trend line, but we're coming directly into resistance there. Which is a bit of an obstacle. Whereas for pound NZD, we're about to break resistance, and we've got a relatively clean path back to highs. Once this resistance breaks, you can see reaction once, twice, third time, pretty much fourth as well. There's a pretty clean move back to the high there. So pound NZD's path is a lot more straightforward. Pound Aussie has a wall in its way. Even if we break through the trend line, we're coming back into resistance there before we get there. If we can break through this level, then yeah, buys after that will look a lot better, and you have a pretty straightforward move back to the high. So that would be a nice opportunity, but again, that might take a few days to actually map out. Whereas pound NZD, we're on the cusp of something really nice if we can break through this level here. So I'll keep an eye on pound NZD. Of course, they're very much similar currency pairs, so they do the same thing. In terms of the quality of a setup, pound NZD is definitely ticking the boxes a lot better. Whereas pound Aussie, we've got some levels to contend with. Maybe in a few days, it might be looking better if we're trading above the high here. But pound NZD probably give you a better risk reward as well. But yeah, it looks like we're gaining momentum to the upside. It looks like price is starting to break through the trend line. If I take a look at Euro Aussie as well, Excuse me. Looks like price is breaking to the upside pretty aggressively. It looks like if we take out that high, I'm expecting us to push all the way back into resistance. Looks like we're firmly back above support there as well. So the odds of us pushing to the downside are very slim because now we've got two fake outs to the downside once and twice. So it looks like this level means business. So if you were to come back to retest support, there's a good chance it's going to hold, and a continuation back to the high, it looks pretty likely. And we'll see where we go from there. Maybe a breakout, maybe we come back down. We'll see when price actually arrives there. But for now, I do expect a lot more upside for Euro Aussie, which is a good thing as well, because it means that my bias across the board for those cross pairs, Euro Aussie, Pound NZD, Euro NZD, are on the same page, and which is always a good thing because they tend to move in the same direction. It's always a bit awkward if one of those currency pairs or two of them you're bearish and the other you're bullish, because they mostly do the same thing. You kind of want to have the same bias. So it's a bit of a red flag if you're in that situation. And of course, UNSD likewise as well. Really powerful support. This one had a bit of fake to the downside as well. As we can see, it looks like price is going to make a move back to resistance, which is up here. And that is what I'll be expecting. In terms of opportunities, I wouldn't say there's much of one right now, because at the moment we're coming back into the middle of the range here, which is the worst place to be looking to take a trade. If suddenly price was to push back down into support, that would be very, very great, because now we can find some entries with a nice stop loss placement and take it back to high. So that would be a nice trade idea. Euro Aussie probably could give you that. I mean, it's not trading at support right now, but it's not too far away from one where a push there would be a bit unrealistic. So maybe we respect the high here, and then maybe we push down. That could give you a nice little trade there. And then you're expecting a push back to the high there at 1.678. So that would be a nice trade idea. So I would say out of the four, Euro Aussie looks good in the pullback and a continuation, and Pound NZD buys look good on a breakout, a retest, and a continuation to the upside. So I'll keep an eye on that. Looks like price is trying to break through now. Again, very much waiting for candlesticks to close, because we might try and just leave some more wicks like we did previously. Closures are very, very important. But yeah, Pound NZD looking pretty bullish. So these crosses look like we're probably going to see more upside. Judging how things are looking, looks like Euro and Pound are a similar strength right now. If I have a look at Euro Pound, which I'm actually bearish on, by the way. So yeah, you can see they're very much tightly knit together. So Euro and Pound equal strength, to be honest, at the moment. But I am looking at Euro Pound getting back to this low. So what we can derive from that is, if Euro Pound is going to get back to this low, it means Euro is going to be a lot weaker than Pound. So Pound's going to be a lot stronger, of course, as long as my bias is correct. But if Euro Pound heads down, that means Pound's going to be stronger. That means the better buy is probably going to be Pound NZD on the break and retest, rather than Euro Aussie on the long here. Because, of course, if Pound's going to be stronger, that means this one is not going to move as well to the upside than Pound NZD, simply because Pound's going to be stronger. Of course, you got to watch out for NZD and Aussie. We'll take a look at that in a second. But if I go back to Euro Pound, the reason why I do have a bearish bias for this one is, again, if I expand to the higher time frames, daily chart overall, what do we have? A very bearish market, which is giving us consecutive lower lows and lower highs. So for this situation, I would be pretty bearish. I know we're coming back into some major support on the monthly chart, which we could turn around from, which is very much the case. Really big support we could turn around, but we haven't really seen any evidence of that happening yet. In fact, we did get an attempt to turn around with this big bullish move, but all we did was come straight back down just as aggressively. So this to me looks like price has tried an impulsive move, completely failed, and almost kind of giving us a bit of a head and shoulder pattern. Left, head, and there's your right shoulder, and there's your kind of neckline, and now price looks like it's coming back for a retest for a continuation. So because of that, I would expect more downside for Euro Pound, looking for another lower high in comparison to the high that's over there. So perhaps we might come back, retest consolidation, and let fly from there. So I would expect to see more strength for Pound. If we go over to Aussie New Zealand dollar, if I can spell it correctly, there we go. So for this one, overall, I'll be pretty bullish for Euro Aussie. It's not the best pair in the world, 100%. It's not. It's very, very corrective. We've got major resistance just above us here, which price is failing on. But the reason why I'm still relatively bullish on the pair is because it was still very consistent with these higher lows. As we can all see, perhaps another one's forming there. So as we kind of steadily push to the upside in this kind of manner, I would expect us to see another push back into resistance. We might come back down again, but I expect it to squeeze, eventually maybe break to the upside or break to the downside. Again, I'm not really too bothered about which way we break out, simply because I know if we break to the upside, there'll be trades. If they break to the downside, there'll be trades. So I'm not trying to force anything here, because either scenario, as long as a good trade forms, we can find some nice trades. But for now, since we push close to this area, I would be bullish on the Aussie New Zealand dollar, expecting a push back to resistance. So that means Aussie is going to be a bit stronger than New Zealand dollar if that bias plays out. So again, that means pound NZD would be the better trade, because that most likely would be the stronger currency pair. Pound's looking like it's going to be stronger than euro, and NZD is looking like it's going to be weaker than Aussie. So pound NZD should have a lot cleaner move to the upside rather than euro Aussie. And that's how you can use other markets to gauge which pair you should trade. That is not euro Aussie. So that's how you can gauge which pair you should trade if you're looking to trade similar pairs, similar to like Euro USD and Pound USD, because of course they're very similar markets as well. What you could do is, instead of just tossing coin, should I take euro, should I take pound, you can go look at euro pound, euro GBP, the currency pair, and see what the next swing is likely to be. If the next swing for euro pound is likely to be to the downside, so like we're expecting here, if the next swing for euro pound is likely to be a drop like so, then that means pound is going to be stronger than euro. And if you're looking to buy euro USD and pound USD, your better bet is to buy pound. Of course, there'll be situations where the swing is wrong, but you're also trusting your analysis on the pairs as well. So even if you predicted this for euro pound, but the market did this, it's not necessarily such a big deal. It just means euro USD is going to move better than pound, the one you picked. But if your analysis on euro USD and pound USD is correct, then you will still see the trade play out. Just the other currency pair would have performed a bit better. So it's not the worst thing in the world if you get the other move false. But it's nice, if you can get a good read of the currency pair which you're looking to trade, and you can judge that and guess which pair you should be looking to trade. So, for example, euro pound here, pretty bearish bias. Aussie New Zealand dollar, pretty bullish bias for this one. That tells me that pound's going to be a bit stronger, New Zealand's going to be a bit weaker. Therefore, pound NZD will look good. So if you can catch a nice little break and retest at this level, it should be a pretty clean move to the upside. The price action is good on this pair, which is the most important thing. It's not that I'll judge euro pound and go judge Aussie New Zealand dollar. Then because of that, I'll just go trade pound NZD. Yeah, that's backwards. You need to have a good setup on the pair you look and trade first. Then you can go verify that setup by looking at other markets as well. But yeah, for now, pound NZD looks like we've got a nice break and retest. Of course, we still need to wait for the break. We still need to wait for the retest. A lot needs to happen. But should it happen, then we've got a good setup on our hands and a push back to 2.238. So that's really what I'm looking at for pound NZD. In terms of the CHF pairs, so CHF pairs, I'm still pretty bearish bias on them. Like I said, I'm currently trading Aussie CHF. Not break even on that one just yet, so I'm not looking to get into other CHF pairs just yet, but we're very close. My stop loss is up there. Very close to potentially getting this one to break even. And you see a bit more downside, a bit more follow through the lows. Before I do that, the targets for the trade are back down here. I'll take most of my profits at the low. And then I'm looking to leave the rest to run back to this swing low here, 0.536, which of course, if I go to the weekly chart, it's not the all-time low. All-time low is actually just below us over here. but it's not far off. So I am looking for the continuation for another swing to the downside like such. The reason why I'm not looking for the full swing in one go is because, number one, negative swaps. You know, if I'm holding a trade for a long time, I'll be paying a lot of negative swaps, which isn't great. And number two, Aussie CHF is a pair which does like to consolidate from time to time. So although things look good now, we've seen some nice momentum. I could get stuck in a very choppy consolidation like this. And like I said, because I'm paying negative swaps, it means I'm just going to be paying to hold the trade through that. And the funny thing is, you could be holding the trade for all of that noise just for price to eventually go back against you. There's no guarantee price is going to get there. In fact, the further my target is, less likely price is going to get there just because there's more distance to travel. So the odds of price turning against me go up a higher, and the pair which I'm paying negative swap and a pair which does consolidate quite often doesn't add up well. So even a push to here is a pretty meaningful move. I mean, I've been in the trade for over 2 weeks. This is the 4-hour chart. You can see my entry was on this candle here, and you can see the date. Actually, you can't see the date at the bottom because of the banner. If I move the banner, you can just about see the date there, which says Wednesday, the 12th of Feb. And right now it's the 26th. So I've been in the trade for over 2 weeks. And that's the CHF pairs for you. They do take their time to move. So you got to be prepared for that. So yeah, that's why I'm not looking to try and take the trade too far. If this was like a yen pair, and I had the higher time frames in my favor, I probably would be a bit more optimistic and try and shoot for the bigger target, which would be a 1 to 6. But I know that the yen pairs can make a 200 pip move in a day pretty easily in the right conditions. So I'm not too afraid to try and stretch the yen pairs too much because I know they can do that. CHF pairs can do as well, but a lot more consolidation in between. Dollar CHF known. What does that mean? Do you want me to take a look at dollar CHF? I mean, I am on the CHF pair topic, so I will have a look at dollar CHF. Dollar CHF is actually a pair on my watch list as well. I'm looking to trade this one. The breakout was okay. I'm looking for a bigger breakout. This one was on the bonus. This one was on the weekly analysis for the weekend. This was the bonus pair. I said dollar CHF, I liked the downside. Number one, I'm very bearish on the CHF pairs, so I'm bullish on the CHF currency. The Swiss franc, I'm bullish on the Swiss franc. And I'm pretty bearish on USD. So dollar CHF is a really nice pair to trade for myself because it lines up with my bias pretty well. However, I need to wait for a good setup. It's all well and good having a good bias, but if the setup's not quite there, there is no trade. And for dollar CHF, I've been looking for us to break support here well. And we've had a decent break. It's just not big enough. There's nice momentum there, yes, but I wouldn't be looking for a retest just yet. One thing I use to gauge break and retest is the range we're breaking out of. For example, we've got a range about yay big. I want price to at least clear half of that. So if I can mark half somewhere around here, I want price to at least break that distance there before I would look for a retest. So price can get to about, again, it doesn't have to be bang on 50, just more or less 50 of that range. So price could have a breakout that took us to roughly around here-ish. Again, if it's slightly above it, that's fine as well. But at least give me a meaningful break so the pullback becomes meaningful as well. If it's less than kind of 50, and I tend to kind of stay away because I want my breakouts to be a bit more meaningful. If you have a much bigger range, I'll look for a much bigger break and retest. And that's not to say that this break and retest won't work. It's just that from my experience, the bigger breakouts are much more reliable because if a market's going to have a big breakout for a lot of momentum, the chance of that being a fake out is just a lot less. The breakouts we have where price just about clears the high and does it really correctively, those are far more prone to be fake outs. So you have to be a bit more cautious of those. This one was decent, but again, like I said, just not quite big enough for me to get excited just yet. So I'm kind of hoping we turn around and see that follow through. Then I can look for a pullback somewhere and the continuation. But I'm very bearish here on on dollar CHF as well, and I'm looking to try and take it back into wherever we form that low. If we continue to the low here, hypothetically, that would be my target for the trade. Again, I like dollar CHF as well because we're coming from a really big level on the weekly chart. So as you can see, the weekly chart coming back from major resistance here once, twice, and a third time. If we respect this well, we very much could turn around pretty heavily too. So dollar CHF to me looks pretty bearish, and I do think we can see a lot more downside. Just being patient before I do get any entries. 0.895 to 0.889. 895. Okay, so that's more or less current price to 0.889, which is around there. That's okay. That's the move you're looking at now. Okay, yeah. I mean that looks good in the intraday level. Looks like price is coming back to retest some structure there for a short. So yeah, I do like that on the intraday level. Breaking retest of the low there, of the lower high. I mean, I would keep probably targets back at the low, but I can see your idea there pretty well. So I like that from an intraday point of view. Of course, I'm looking at slightly bigger move on the 4-hour chart, but I think that makes a lot of sense as well. 0.878 lowest low projected. 878. I guess around there-ish. Okay, so you're looking at this area here. Big push to the upside. Could be looking to attract price as well. Yep, I like that as well in terms of target. I mean, where we're coming from on the weekly chart, we can go a lot further, but that's definitely an area to keep a close eye on as well. So, yeah, pretty much the same page, Anton, at least in terms of the direction. Afonso, what's up? CHF dollar looking for another sell. My earliest trade TP'd 80 pips at 7 lots. Nice. Okay, so you mean dollar CHF? Okay, I made it wrong because of CHF dollar. But nice. Are you still looking to sell dollar CHF? Do you have a level or an area which you're looking at currently, or are you kind of just keeping an eye, seeing if something arises? Yeah, at some point. But I have a similar outlook as well. I'm looking for a sell for this one too. The fact that we're breaking out consolidation is a real big sign that okay, the sellers are in control of the market or at least gaining control. Let's see if they can keep to that as well. We don't break back above. If we do that, that'll definitely put me off the trade. But for now, I am looking at a lot more downside for dollar CHF. Like I said, I'm very bearish across the board for the CHF pairs. So yeah, dollar CHF looking for shorts. Oz CHF, of course, I'm in a short. Pound CHF looking for downside. New Zealand CHF as well. We'll take a look at those in a second. Okay, looking for a bigger pullback. Likewise as well. I'm looking for hopefully a push down first, then a bigger pullback. Not necessarily a bigger pullback now, but I would like to see price kind of sell off a bit and then come back to retest the level. That would be my preferred opportunity, but we'll see how that does set up. In terms of the other CHF pairs, so we've got dollar CHF, Aussie. In terms of pound CHF, this one has been in a very annoying consolidation for a while now, and I've been looking for us to eventually break out of this. Looks like prices had a few attempts trying to break to the upside, but completely failed. And now we are having another attempt. So with pound CHF, I do like this one to the downside because, again, the idea is I'm looking for the continuation of this bearish leg and that this is the correction of that. That's still what I'm looking at. However, the more time develops, the more we stay in the consolidation, the less confident I am about the move, which is fine because, quite frankly, the trade idea I'm looking at is waiting for price to break to the downside and then looking for short. So if price can do that, then I would be very confident about the idea because if we break out of this consolidation, the odds of us getting back to that low, become pretty high. So that's the idea I'm looking at. I'm not really so much of a fan looking to short the high of the range anymore, just because we've been so continuous with it. but I am looking for that break and retest there. Again, if you're looking to trade pound CHF, the best way to trade at the moment is looking to sell high and buy low. So something like that will look good, and something like this will look good as well, because at least you can get some really nice stop losses above highs here, below lows there, and really take advantage of the width, not the width, sorry, of the height of that range. Other than that, like I said, waiting for us to commit to the downside and then really break out of the low, and then I can look for some opportunities to take lower. Otherwise, it's just a really range-bound market. I'm not a big fan. New Zealand CHF, which is very similar to Aussie CHF, and at the time I was debating between entering New Zealand CHF and entering Aussie. I chose Aussie, which has actually been slightly the better choice. Again, Aussie and New Zealand, they do the same thing really. In terms of the profit, I probably would have been floating in for New Zealand. It's more or less the same as Aussie, but Aussie's had a slightly better run there. But same targets, really expecting New Zealand to get back into the low there at 0.504, and expecting price to push back into the low here at 0.494 as well. So I do expect to see a pretty big move to the downside for New Zealand CHF. Looks like prices just about came back to retest the low here, which is a really nice confluence for the trade. Resistance there, support there. Looks like we're continuous with the lower highs pretty much since the high over there. We've got another one and potentially another one forming there as well. And if that's the case, I expect us to push back into the low here, which is at 0.502, 0.5300, and then of course the low there as well. So with New Zealand CHF, because I couldn't enter at the high because I was trading Aussie, I'm not too sure how I would find another entry for this one. Just because we've had such a corrective pullback, and now it looks like price is leaving the high there behind. And in terms of a stop loss, the only place I would really want to stop loss in this scenario, given how choppy the market is, would be right above the highs there. Let me draw that again. There we go. So something like that. Trying to look for a breaking retest like this, like a retest of some structure there, could work, but the odds of you getting stopped out and wicked out with a random wick are a lot higher, because you can see that's where the market's fluctuating. That's where we're seeing a lot of noise. You can get stop loss above the high. You're in a much safer position. Again, you're not immune to getting wicked out, but the odds are a lot less. And if you do get wicked out, you're in a nice place to re-enter again and have the odds back on your side. Here, you could just see more kind of nonsense and weird price action, and you can get a few stop outs before actually catching the move. So, yeah, I would only be comfortable with New Zealand CHF if I was entering right at the high and get stop loss right at the high. And that will do two things as well. It'll get my stop loss in a safer place, and it'll make sure my entering at a better place as well. So I'll be higher up and maximize my risk reward a lot better as well. I won't be entering here. I'll be entering up there, which also means actually a third thing too, which means I can hold the trade a little bit longer as well, because here's where you get a lot of fluctuation, which means, let's say if you go to break even, the odds of you kind of getting wicked out break even, seeing price going in your direction, are a lot higher when you're in here versus up there. So if I go to break even, again, still not immune. I could still get wicked out before price continues, but at least I'm a lot higher up. So if I do see a nice drop in my favor, price has to work a lot harder to come back to wick me out, because I'm positioned up here versus over here. Price doesn't have to work too hard to wick me out before continuing my direction. So really three things there actually that are all pretty put odds and probability in your favor a lot more. You're a lot higher up, so you can go to break even and kind of let the trade have a bit more room to breathe without fear of getting wicked out. You can get your stop loss in a relatively safe position as well. And number one, your entry is a lot higher, so more pips to catch. And most of the time, better risk to reward. Not always, because maybe you got a better stop loss here, but most of the time, better risk to reward as well. So many pluses just entering higher. So many pluses. And again, I'm not saying you can't enter for a breaking retest here. I'm just saying if you take 100 trades here versus 100 trades there, 100 trades up there will perform better. And that's kind of what we want to lean towards as a trader, taking the best trades we can find all the time, because our P&L, our results, our performance will benefit massively for that. But yeah, in terms of direction anyway, the trend for New Zealand CHF is evidently very much to the downside. So especially as a swing trader, only really looking to short the market, not really interested in buys at all until I see some sustained bullish structure, which is definitely not on the cards just yet. And I like the fact we've kind of broken out of this channel here a little bit. That big wick there's the downside we had a few weeks ago, kind of kept us in that channel. Now, yesterday's price action, yesterday's candle closed below pretty aggressively. So that shows that, okay, momentum shifting, and perhaps we can get another bearish leg that looks something similar to this. And that will take us back into the low there as well. So very bearish on New Zealand CHF, but like I said, I just don't think I'll be able to get an entry, which is fine because Aussie CHF will do a very similar thing to New Zealand. If New Zealand's going to get a big drop to the low, Aussie CHF is going to get a big drop to the low. So yeah, I don't really need to go and trade New Zealand CHF. It would be nice to, because I can double my profit really. But if the opportunity isn't there, it isn't there. And in terms of the other CHF pairs, so you got CAD CHF, which is still stuck in the range pretty much. So this one don't really have too much to report on, just range bound, equal highs up there, and we've got equal lows down here, and the market has just been back and forth between the two. If the trend's going to continue, then we've of course got the wick low there. I have been looking at a slightly deeper retracement for CAD CHF before we do get that follow through. I was looking for another one of these major highs to set in first. Doesn't look like that's happening, at least at the moment. And looks like we're pushing back into support, where again there could be some nice buys at the low. Prices back at the low end of the range. There's a good chance we do bounce. So that's a decent place for a buy. But again, it's just range bound play, looking to buy low, sell high. That's the only thing I'm looking at that for. In terms of the overall trend, it is very much down. So that's kind of the direction I want to trade in predominantly. But yeah, at the moment, just in the range, so not really interested with CAD. With Euro CHF, this one's, again, a little bit choppy as well. Overall, I'm kind of looking at this channel here for Euro CHF. Again, I've been looking for a slightly deeper pullback before a big sell. Doesn't look like that's happening just yet. I mean, it might still be happening, but we're taking our sweet time to get into that situation. If this is price forming another top, so we formed, a high over there, big drop, another high over there, big drop, another high over there, a fairly big drop as well. If this is going to be another lower high, and we're going to have another drop back into the lows, then I need price to start breaking some structure. If I, on the 5 chart, if I zoom in, I want price to start breaking through some of these lows here on the left, and then I can start looking for some trades. Because at the moment, we've been pretty consistent with these higher lows. So that's a bit of a red flag in terms of looking to short just yet. As we continue with the higher lows, price might be looking to double bottom here and fly to the upside as well. So I need price to invalidate the bullish structure, aka break through support. Then that will leave me behind some nice areas to short from and find some continuations to take this back down. So something like this will look good, and then some more shorts. But yeah, nothing of that nature just quite yet. And that's pretty much it for the CHF pairs. Of course, I went through CHF JPY earlier. CHF JPY I'm actually pretty bearish on, despite the bullish bias I have for the currency. But it's not really to do with CHF. It's more to do with the yen. I'm just very, very bullish on the yen across pretty much all other currencies. We had a look at the yen basket earlier. If I whip that up right now, you can see with the yen basket, we're pointing to the upside here. I don't think the yen basket actually includes CHF, but with the yen basket, it looks like we are getting ready for a big move to the upside. And that's the yen, at least against the Aussie, the CAD, the pound, the euro, and the dollar. So the yen is probably going to be a lot stronger than all those other currency pairs, which means I'm expecting yen to be probably one of the strongest pairs for a while. So CHF JPY I'm expecting to fall, despite I expect CHF to be a bit stronger than other currency pairs too, just not stronger than the yen. But in terms of our watch list going forward, it's made up of quite a few of the yen pairs and the USD pairs. I would say my favorite USD pairs right now are pound USD longs. So the retest of this area for a long at 1.25. This is probably my favorite setup, along with USD CAD, looking for entries in this area for a push back into the high there at 1.268. Dollar CAD as well. This is an opportunity I like a lot. Resistance here at 1.436, or the resistance there 1.45. That looks like a nice area to short from one of these two areas, because I'm expecting price to push a lot further down. Again, if I quickly go to dollar CAD on the weekly chart, you can see where we are back at major resistance here, once, twice, and a third time. So I do expect dollar CAD to have a really big sell in the next few weeks. So now I'm just going to get ready to take that short. And either one of those areas look really good. So just about timing and being patient. But one of these two levels I'm looking for the sells from. Aussie dollar, likewise. I'm not as big a fan of Aussie dollar, to be honest. So I think I'll just wait for dollar CAD to do its thing, especially because I'm selling Aussie CHF as well. So I don't want to be necessarily looking to buy Aussie dollar. If it's a good setup, I probably still would do it because Aussie CHF is well into profit. So I wouldn't mind taking the buy, to be honest. But I think because dollar CAD looks a lot better, pound USD looks a lot better, I'll just wait for those setups, to be honest. But still a good trade. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just dollar CAD looks a little bit cleaner, so I'll focus on that one. But yeah, 0.63 looks like a nice level to buy from as well. So I do like the upside there. Gold and silver, I'm kind of just waiting for more information before I do start to add to my watch list or look for opportunities. Again, gold, I'm still waiting for a buy, but nothing quite there yet. Silver, I'm still waiting for a buy as well. But because we're having such trouble breaking through resistance here, this is a really big level on the daily/weekly chart. A lot of rejection here. And again, we close back below, so that's not a good sign at all for gold and for silver, sorry. So yeah, we might actually be seeing a lot more downside here. In terms of the yen pairs, I'm waiting for a lot of support to break before I do look for pullbacks. So again, for euro yen, this is the daily chart, really big support level there. I'm very bearish on euro yen, as I pointed out a few times. Big head and shoulder here. So I'm expecting us to break lower, but I can't be looking to short directly into support. So I need price to break through first and then look for some pullbacks. Pound yen and the yen pair, which is definitely firmly on the watch list as well. This one I'm expecting push back into the wick low here. But again, if I'm looking to trade that, I need support to break first, because I can't be looking to sell into it. I'm looking at maybe something like this forming potentially. Again, very hypothetical. It depends how big the break is, how big the pullback is, but something like that would fit my plan, fit the criteria for a trade. And I'll be looking to short that. And dollar yen. Dollar yen I like a lot as well. Dollar yen looks like a really nice trade. It looks like we're about to break through major lows here on the left. And if I go to the daily chart, I'm looking for us to come all the way back into support here at 140. Really big level of support. So I do see a pretty big drop here for dollar yen. That means a lot of pips to catch, big risk rewards. Again, I wouldn't be holding the full position, the full weight there, but again, leave 20% to run. That could easily add up to an extra 1R, potentially 2. Depends on your entry, of course, and your stop loss and your risk, but that could add up quite nicely. What I'm really looking for in terms of a trade is just for price to create a low, pull back, and then short it back into that prior low, whatever that low does form. Again, lower highs there, looking for another retest of that and a continuation into the next low. So dollar yen shorts, CAD, yeah, CAD looks okay, but actually no, CAD looks good. What I'm on about, I meant Aussie and New Zealand look okay. CAD looks good because CAD had a lot of momentum here, so I like CAD yen shorts as well. And you just need a pretty big pullback first. So yeah, CAD yen, dollar yen, pound, euro look good. Aussie, New Zealand, not pretty big fan of them. They're a bit more corrective. And they have been for a while. So these ones not as big of a fan. I mean, potentially the break and retest could look good, but I need to see a big break for me to get excited. Likewise for New Zealand yen as well, very corrective. So need to pick up momentum. But those yen pairs I'm looking at, like I said, for USD, pound, USD looks good. Longs, dollar CAD looks good. Shorts, Aussie dollar looks good. Longs as well. Other pairs outside of the USD and yen, I'm not really interested in. Like I said, I'm not interested in the CHF pairs until I get Aussie CHF to break even. And for that, I need price to kind of break through some more lows first before I do start to potentially move to break even. So I need something like that to happen. So I'm not going to jump into any other CHF pairs. In terms of the crosses, pound entity does look good, but I don't think I'll get a nice setup on the 4-hour chart. That's the only thing. I like the break and retest idea. I think this is more of a trade for maybe the hourly chart to take advantage of. 4-hour might not see the best risk to reward, but I would say this does look like a nice trade. So if I was looking to trade it on the hourly chart, look for setups on that time frame, this would probably be on the watch list as well, but 4-hour might be quite slim. But other than that, CAD pairs not really interested in. I know we've had some nice bullish moves for the CAD pairs. Pound CAD, lovely move to the upside. Let's say we're back at resistance. So it's up to pound CAD what we're going to do now. Are we going to respect it? Are we going to come back down? Have to wait and see. But not really interested in that. Euro CAD, nice bullish move as well. Looks like we'll push it back to resistance, but nothing really to do in between. So not really a setup there as well. And yeah, guys, that kind of sums up where I am with my watch list and what I'm looking at. Of course, make sure you check out the Telegram link in the description. I do post setups there, and of course, check out the Discord as well. I post ideas and what I'm looking at, so do other people. So if you're interested in joining discussions and chatting with other traders, including myself, check out the groups there. Links in the description to them. If you have enjoyed the stream, guys, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. I will be live again tomorrow and Friday, as always, every weekday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. So if you're free, pop in, say hi, come chat with us. If you are enjoying the streams. But guys, I really do appreciate you tuning in. Have a great Wednesday. I was about to say great Thursday there. It's not Thursday yet. Have a great Wednesday. Like I said, I'll keep you updated if I do get any other setups. But till then, have a great one. I'll catch you all in the next stream.